Well, welcome everyone to part two of our main SBDC social media analytics series. Hopefully you were here last week or you received my follow-up email that had the recording, and so you've seen some of what we're going over. Thank you for your patience this morning as Nicole and I also troubleshooted how to do our own analytic navigation, so we would be ready for you guys. So if you have gotten lost at any point in your social media analytics, you could be professional also. You're doing great, just like everybody else, so don't feel bad. It sounds like we're going to go through some examples. We've had a couple volunteers step forward, so we'll definitely appreciate people sharing their experience from last week. Again, we're going to use the chat to submit any questions or introduce yourself. We can chit chat down there, and as always, you'll receive the recording in my follow-up email along with the slides and any other resources we mentioned. And otherwise, I think we're all set to get started. Oh, but you're muted, Nicole.
I know. See, I was bound to do it.
Doing our best
here. There we go. So welcome everyone. Thanks so much for coming. It's going to be really great to hear what people tried out and what they learned, because I feel like I learn as much from other people as I do just, researching or pulling stuff together myself. So if you have something that you tried out, feel free to use the raised hand, which is in the reactions if you've updated Zoom recently. So here I am demonstrating it. And what we are going to do is, and Kelsey is going to kind of organize it. I think we have a volunteer who is willing to go. So we're going to start with Herb, and how this is going to work, by the way, and you have a couple of minutes if you're still kind of like thinking about it. What I want you to do is say what you tried out. So like, hey, my name's Nicole and I decided to experiment and post the exact same thing to Facebook and Instagram at the same time and see which one got more reactions and more engagement and more comments. And this is what I found out. And this is how I'm going to use that information going forward. So you can just talk about it like that, or you'll notice that I've made it so that you all can theoretically share your screens. So if you hover kind of over the bottom of your screen, you should see a share screen button. So when it is your turn, if you want to like pull up your post or something and sort of be able to refer to that, you're welcome to do that, but you certainly don't have to. And what I'm going to be doing off screen is aggregating that information. But just before we do that, so if you are the kind of person who likes to organize your thoughts, feel free to use the next 5 minutes to do that. So this is a part two of two parts, as Kelsey mentioned. So the recording's available. So if you happen to miss last week, watch that recording and it'll give you a little bit of the background in terms of the vocabulary that we're using to discuss this. This is not to say that you won't get anything out of this presentation if you didn't do that. It just will make more sense if you do that as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the data from our experiments, and I'm going to show you a few, I guess we're going to see some kinds of things that we can measure. We're going to look at some examples, we're going to look at some paid tools. Now that you guys have been dealing with the free tools, which as Kelsey and I learned this morning are not as straightforward as they could be, you'll see why sometimes people will pay for a paid analytic tool to deal with this stuff. And then we'll talk a little bit about some stuff you can use going forward if you want to apply what you've learned for this. So what I want to do is, ideally, in the ideal world, there'd be 3 volunteers. If there isn't, don't worry, I prepared stuff. I'm a prepared teacher. I'm used to people not necessarily volunteering. But if you do feel comfortable sharing the experiment that you ran, what I want to know is, introduce yourself, even a little bit about like, hey, my name's Nicole. I have a co-working space in Bar Harbor. So I mainly want to get people into my space. So I decided, so feel free to give a little background if you want. The experiment you ran, I tried this. I experimented on timing. I tried making a video versus a still image post. I tried, whatever you tried, and then how it went and what you learned during it. So I think we probably have a first volunteer in Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen, sorry to put you right on the spot, but
I don't mean to put Ellen right on the spot, but and if anybody else like wants to volunteer, feel free to use the raise hand feature while Ellen is talking. Otherwise, the teacher is going to have to fill it out with her information, which is not nearly as interesting as your information.
All right. Hi, folks. So I did let me share the screen.
Do you see a share screen button, Ellen? We can, hold on, let me make you a co-host real quick.
No, I see a share screen.
Oh, lovely.
I'm just getting situated here.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay, so what I've done well, to introduce myself, I do events and marketing at a small farm in Kennebunk called Wallingford Farm. So if you're in the area, stop on by and say hi. And tag us when you do any photos. Thank you. But also, so I've been here doing this role for, it'll be a year in December. And when I first joined, I did a competitive analysis. So that's what this column here is on January 2021. And I just took note of how many posts there were, how many followers, and also what it was like for who was doing the Instagram before. And then I did that down here on different tabs. These are our friendly competition that we have, or other farms that we appreciate. So Van Wilgen is in Connecticut, Broadway Gardens is somewhat local, Wilson Farms is in Mass. So that's what I did a few months ago. And then thanks to Kelsey and Nicole and this whole gang last week, I started out with a little bit more formal documenting. So thinking, all right, here's August 2021. So I reposted how many posts I've done, and then our new followers. And then I did a screenshot of our reach in Instagram. So I thought this was the most telling, and I can make it bigger if you can't read this, but so here's our reach and then our interactions for the last month. So as far as tests that you said for this past week, I guess I feel like I'm always trying to test because I'm always kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm blind leading the blind with myself. But so then I did some screenshots of actual posts that I've done that I thought were some of our better hits. I find better results with Facebook than Instagram. Instagram is first, so these are a little bit I find lackluster, but our reach is pretty minimal. This one got 25 likes, which was better than some other. So that's why I picked this post to feature. And then another thing that I've been trying to do is once a week promoting a non-competitive business. So this is a organic farm, or I'm sorry, organic market up the street, New Morning. And I just go to places that I personally shop at, whether it's a restaurant or another, like a yoga studio, something like that, who our customers are probably customers of these other businesses. So I think it's a win-win. And what was nice about that was that they ended up sharing it and it got a bigger reach. So at first I was wanting to do a creative collaboration with another business, kind of like, all right, you give me a $25 gift certificate, I'll promote it and do a contest, and then you do the same. I was having a hard time finding a business to do that with. So this is my workaround. And then to Facebook, again, this is last year's where I was in January. And now here, this is where we are now. And I did a post in towards the end of July, which did very well in comparison to other things. So I have that posted down below. We don't do any paid search because we just don't have the money for that. So this is a typical post for us. We get about 1,000 people that reach out. Well, maybe a little bit less on general, as it says right here on this graph. But it's hard to say why it's such a flux, which I guess is what you're saying about doing tests. I haven't found a rhyme or reason for that, but one thing that is working for me is that I share the posts, which is a lot of these shares. I share the posts on we're chamber members, so I share it on that group, and I share it on some of the other free groups like visitors of Ogunquit, Maine, which is a local town to us. So that's been, but it's a fine line because I have to promote, I have to support the other members. So I'm not too salesy. So, which is fun. Believe me, don't get me wrong. It's not. So I try to keep it fun, but that is something to keep in mind. I don't want to be too salesy. This is the one post that was, that did so well. And I think it's because of the storytelling aspect of it, which I try to do. But it's hard to maintain that. It's kind of like sometimes you have a story, sometimes you don't. Our reach here, it says it wasn't as great as what the graph showed before. So I don't understand that. Yeah, please.
So here's the thing. So you see how it says good morning, and then in blue it says town of Kennebunkport, Maine. So
Yes.
by tagging them, that appeared on their page as well. So it's almost like it made a copy, for lack of a better word. So you're seeing data on yours, but you're not seeing what it did on their end.
I see.
So that might be part of it. And the other thing is, how did you find these hashtags to use? Because I'm also wondering if some people follow historical build. I'm just curious how popular these hashtags are on Facebook. Like, I feel like I'm a part of, there's a Facebook group of the town I grew up in that I follow. And I'm wondering if other people kind of do something similar with history and sort of like what things were like back then. I feel like that's a popular kind of topic on Facebook, at least that I've seen.
So it's funny, on Instagram, I do hashtags and it tells me which ones are most popular. I try to stay away from the 1 million, 1.3 million hashtags, and I try and stay within the 10,000 to 40 or 50,000. And that's easier for me to find hashtags for. On Facebook, I only started doing it because someone that follows the farm and has become a friend that's in marketing has encouraged me to do it. And part of me is like, I don't really know if it helps or not, but part of me, I do it to appease her.
I think it does. I think
does.
Tagging these businesses helps. And these are other ways for people to find you. If you think about it, it's not like there's someone sitting on Facebook being like, oh, that's a picture of this or whatever, you know what I mean? So the more information you can give in text, the better. And if someone's searching for this kind of information, if it's in some kind of text format, it's more likely to come up. So, I mean, there's no need to go crazy. I don't know how many hashtags. I think you can use 25 or 30 or something. I mean, there's no need to necessarily use all the ones you could use, but I think it does help be more visible and help you more findable in search for sure.
But it doesn't, I don't see hashtags nearly as much as you do on Instagram.
Oh, no. Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, small farm charm, I thought that was just something that was, like historic place. I thought it was a generic thing, but apparently there's an actual small farm charm that reached out to me saying, thanks for the tag. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to, but okay. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, this is great. Thanks so much, Ellen. Is there anything else you wanted to share about your?
I'm thinking on the fly. This was,
fine.
I mean, just if, I don't know if anyone else would be this crazy to do it, what I done in January, but hopefully year after year or month after month now, if I do this, this little chart will help me keep track of our progress. So
just for, I was going to say, as a marketing coordinator, I do exactly what you've done every year on like the anniversary of my work start.
Oh, okay.
So that I can keep that data for like my own portfolio essentially, but it also helps with like work goals and all that kind of stuff. And so this is like, I do all of this also, but I like your spreadsheet better, like Nicole said.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Color coding and making it fun helps.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Ellen. I love seeing how other people approach things. It's so cool. Does anybody else want to share anything that they tried out this week as an experiment? I appreciate you being willing to share, Ellen. So
of course, no problem.
Yeah. So you can, there we go. Does anybody else have anything else? Okay.
I can share a little bit.
Oh, sure. That would be great.
Yeah, nothing on my screen, but I sort of before the class last week, I had sort of gotten unmotivated, thinking back into my old, this is never going to work. I'm just going to sell my business and go get a job at McDonald's. But I decided to try videos. I make jewelry, so they're really amateur. They're just a white background. I put a little black feather across the back, so there's some sort of like a visual thing in each one, and the jewelry in front, and like a 10-15 second sweep panning from in front up to above to show the jewelry, and set up a TikTok account and put them on TikTok. And then I take the same video and I post it on Instagram Reels and my Instagram feed and my Instagram stories. I'm using them to set up a visual account on YouTube. And then what I want to do, I'm going back to my site and in my shop and putting links to the YouTube video. So if you want to see this in 3 dimensions, you know, a short video of this piece to get a better look at it. I have, just to get SEO links, I have a Twitter account where I don't do anything except post pictures and links of my stuff. Just trying to build backlinks anywhere I can. The one interesting thing that I did find out from doing this for a week is Facebook does not like the videos at all. Facebook wants me to post my picture of my product with the link to the Facebook marketplace. And then it will show it to people, but it doesn't want the videos. It doesn't want a direct link to my shop.
It wants you to use Marketplace, i.e. their e-commerce platform.
Yeah, I can, video, it'll show it to 2 people. A Marketplace, it'll show it to 50 people.
That is fascinating. It makes sense though, when you think about it. And I've been taking some notes, and feel free to put your TikTok link in the thing. I'd love to see it because I love TikTok. It's my favorite.
Everything in the world except my Facebook, everything else in the world is main jewelry.
Okay. All right. So we'll check that out. But so as you guys were talking, I took some notes, and this is what we just learned from 2 people kind of trying stuff out and experimenting, which is that involving other people works, whether it's featuring a business, tagging a business, that is a good thing to do. It is worth experimenting, it sounds like, on Instagram versus Facebook, in terms of, you know, what outcomes you get. And I saw that when Ellen posted more often, because I saw she posted more during the time period she's taken over the marketing of this property, she's gotten more followers, which makes sense to me. And that sharing to groups, you know, so like sharing to the chamber members and things like that from your posts can help with reach of organic posts. Using hashtags and otherwise like text will help you increase your reach. Reposting content can work for the same effort. So for example, doing a TikTok video and then posting it to Instagram Reels makes complete sense. And Facebook likes it when you use their commerce platform and does not like it when you send it to your own website. So these are all kind of good things to keep in mind. So what I recommend, you know, regardless of, I don't know, what you do with this information going forward, is to talk with other business owners, you know, within the SBDC or otherwise, and share this kind of information, because it's really, like I said, helpful. And this is just the notes I took from listening to two people talk. So can imagine if everybody was able to share info. So if you're just a little camera shy, which I totally understand, feel free to, you know, type in the chat some stuff that you have gotten out of this. You know, maybe you ran an experiment. If you want to type it up in the chat, maybe we'll read a couple of them too as we're going along. So don't feel like just because you just didn't want to be on video that we don't care about what your experiment was. So these are, you know, good things to test out, you know, and I put a couple of things, I called it stuff that I didn't think should make a difference, but when I've tried it, it seems to make a difference. I told you about, I think, the LinkedIn ad I took out for the tutoring company last week. I looked for this screenshot and I could not find it this morning. I looked hard, but there was a little boy stock photo and a little girl stock photo, same LinkedIn ad. The girl got twice as many clicks. And I remember thinking, oh, like the patriarchy like starts with it. And I remember being kind of like a little bit annoyed about it. And so that's why I remember the girl getting twice as many clicks. So her ad was less expensive. And I will say too, in my own experiment, so this top screenshot here, oops, I realize I'm in presentation mode. I can't click on the thing. But the top screenshot here, I'm doing an experiment for my live stream tomorrow where I'm spending the same amount of money across different ad platforms and seeing what happens. So this is what I did was I actually separated the display ads on Instagram and Facebook for this client to just see if Facebook or Instagram was more expensive, and predictably Instagram is more expensive. So when Ellen was talking about Instagram, like kind of being a little bit like harder on you know, getting results from it, I sort of see that, because as you see here, my Facebook click cost me 43 cents and my Instagram click cost me $1.51. And what I think this is in part due to the fact that Instagram doesn't really support links. You know, you can't put a link in a caption. And the whole swipe up thing, which actually just went away today, they're switching to buttons. So they're changing the way they do links right now anyway. So, but people who are on Instagram, it's not necessarily something that you click on and go somewhere else. It seems to be something that you do more often with Facebook. And then I took out an ad set a while back. Those of you who, I have a co-working space in Bar Harbor, but I also have a co-working space in upstate New York. And that's a really long story, but I basically have one co-working space that's been open for almost 7 years, and this other one that I opened 2.5 years ago. So I would have thought the main one that's been open a lot longer would be a group of people that was much more interested in hearing from me. But the New York audience was about half the price to reach as the main audience. So anyway, point being is that these little things you don't think are going to make a difference, but they actually kind of do. Now, I'm going to acknowledge that the stuff I showed you is a lot of stuff from ads. And I want to let you know that, as Ellen and Em have sort of demonstrated today, is that you can experiment on what's called organic content. Organic just means not ads. That's all that means. So you can experiment by posting stuff and seeing how it does. It doesn't have to be an ad. But the reason that a lot of my experiments involve ads is that, you know, it's a quick way to get information. So if I have a client who is like, hey, we need to know, we're running, you know, an ad in the Boston Globe and we have to pick the image, you know, next week, I can't be like, oh, we're going to like post these different images a few times. We're going to like, we don't have time for that. Like they need to know sooner rather than later what that image is going to be, right? So ads in general are just a quick way to get a lot of eyeballs on something to get data more quickly. Also, as you see with the previous screenshot, it kind of gives you the results in a neat little dashboard. So I can see like how many people clicked on it, how many people saw it, how many people were reached, and how much that cost me very, very easily in sort of one Whereas, you know, like Ellen showed us, like you can have that data, but you have to kind of organize it for yourself to be able to compare, you know, individual posts and things like that. And in terms of running an experiment, those of you who are fellow science people like me, you know that what you want to do with an experiment is you only want to test one variable. So with ads, what I can do is I can set them to run to the same audience of people. I can set them to run for the same time period. I can set them to run for the same budget. So I can control a lot of the factors to only test one thing. Whereas when you post something organically to social media, you have to, I guess, like, it's a little more nuanced. You'll have to look at it a few different ways and see like, okay, was it the time of day I posted it? And I'm sure, you know, Michelle, when she did her video experiment on Facebook and that Facebook did not want to show those videos, I'm sure that you tried a few different, and it's not like you tried one video, you had to try a few. So I guess what I'm saying is ads are just a way to test things faster, but you don't need to use ads to be able to look at analytics and make, I guess, educated conclusions about what your data says and what you should do next. So I did want to put on here some stuff that you can test. So, you know, you can test what we call in the business the creative. So the creative is just the visual thing that goes with the not writing part of what you're posting. So, you know, you can test, you know, different images. You can test like, you know, should I try a 15-second versus a 60-second video? So you can try different things. If I post a still image of the product versus a product video, right? Like, how does that go? You can test text, you know, certain, you know, headlines and descriptions, and even what the call to action button says. You'll notice, you know, if you want to take out an ad in particular, you can make it say shop now or learn more or book now. So you can, even that can affect what people will do. You can test audiences. So, you know, so for example, if you post a video, one thing that you probably didn't know you could do on Facebook and Instagram is you can actually target people who have watched a certain percentage of that video. You can do this on YouTube too, anywhere that has video. So if I say, okay, I posted a 30-minute video about me doing this analytics workshop, and I'm assuming that if people watched more than 10 minutes of it, they're at least moderately interested. So, you know, if they watched above 25% of my video, I'm going to show this ad to them. So that's something, you know, and I'm saying it in terms of ads because, like I said, that's what I'm used to testing. But I guess what I'm also saying is that, you know, you can experiment on different groups of people. Timing of posts. If you put emojis in it, does it do better? Yes, if you put emojis in your email subject line, it does increase the open rate, you know, for example, but you can't use more than two. I don't know. There's like all these stupid things that people are testing, but hashtag usage, you know, sort of what you're talking about. That's why I said subject matter. So maybe, you know, maybe Michelle's goal, every time she posts about making her gold jewelry, people go crazy for it. And she keeps trying to post her, you know, tourmaline jewelry, and like people just don't seem to be as interested. You know, your platform, sort of Facebook versus Instagram, for example, posting the same thing and seeing how it does. And, you know, there's certain ad specific things. So for example, on Facebook, there is a category of people you can advertise to called engaged shoppers. And they are people who have clicked the buy now button on an ad within the last 7 days. And it is way more people than you. It's over 500,000 people with the last time I looked at it. So people apparently click that often. So there are certain platforms that have specific things as well that you can test out. So I'm going to use you guys right now for some free labor because I want us to, yes, we can look at these, like, I guess, ad sets and understand things. But what I want to do is I want to look a little bit at some, like, a group of data and see if we can come up with some conclusions for me. And I always feel comfortable experimenting on myself because I don't know, my clients didn't necessarily agree to be in a public presentation, but here I am, I'm our experiment. So little background is I have a YouTube channel. I have 74 subscribers. It's been stuck at that number for a while. So if you want to get me to 100, thanks. But the main thing is that I post weekly, a live stream, and it goes into one of 3 main playlists. I have one that I call general business, which is like general businessy stuff, you know, like subscription products, like thinking about them or thinking about podcasting, like just kind of bigger idea stuff. One about social media, so all about social media stuff. And this, for example, would go in the social media playlist if I was going to put it in a playlist. And then I call it business, I call it websites. So SEO, what are RSS feeds, Google Analytics, that kind of thing. And I just went and checked to make sure, and I have relatively similar amounts of videos in all of these playlists, right? So what I want to do is I want to look at my YouTube stats with you, and I want you to help me figure out if I was going to make more videos, what category would I put them in? Like I said, so general business, social media, or websites, okay? So let's take a look at my, channel analytics. So when I first get here, like I said, it feels a little overwhelming. And what I'm going to do before I zoom in is I'm going to change this from 28 days to 365 days. I don't want this last month to necessarily color our perceptions for the entire thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just zoom in a bit because this writing is tiny. And now I am, every time a client says like, oh, I bump up the font, I totally get it now. Now let's take a look at the top. See, so these are the top videos that I've had during the last 365 days. So one that I recorded in 2014. So much less gray, so much younger. And then I've got my TikTok, Google Analytics, how to do online donations, and big, beautiful websites, and more TikTok. So when I get down to here, though, it says see more. And what this does is it kind of gives us a little teaser as to the information we can expect, but then we can go in here and we can see a lot more data. Now, I want to remind you that if somebody really likes me, yes, they're going to view the video, but they are also going to keep watching it, right? So don't let, I guess, a large number, what happened? I'm like, what happened in February? I got to go look at that one. Come on. What's this? What are you? Anyway, all right. I'm going to stop thinking about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm looking at, it's showing me in order of views. And what I tried to do before this presentation was get this thing to sort. Come on. All it does is let me hide it. It doesn't let me sort by average view duration. So what I want to do is I want to look for some big numbers here. So these are the ones that have the most views, but I'm going to look at the second column for, and I'm going to zoom in even a little bit more than that to make this. There we go. 200%. All right. Whoa. Okay. That's a little too far. All right. 175%. There we go. So I'm looking for some big numbers. Okay. The Start With Awesome webinar was watched for 22 minutes. That's good. So this webinar involved another presenter, and I was kind of interview style asking her questions. So I'm going to just start with awesome. It was about copywriting from a place of not self-deprecation, which is kind of where I go, but I'm trying to get out of the habit. So that was watched for 22 minutes and 46 seconds. So I'm going to look for other things that are 10 minutes or more, because my videos are definitely 10 minutes long, which now that you've met me, I'm sure you understand why. I'm a chatty Kathy here. So there's a 22-minute one here. Okay, this 8-minute one looks pretty good. Day 3 of 2020, make some money. All right, I forgot about, okay. I'll have to go see what the subject of day 3 was of that. Why I hate RFPs. RFPs, by the way, are requests for proposals. And as a very small company, they have wasted days of my time to make me no money. So I have definitely feelings about them. Let's see. I'm just looking for things that are around 10 minutes. Okay, day 2. All right. My 2020 Make Some Money series is a little more popular than okay, making stuff better. Keyword research. Okay, so keyword research has to do with, all right. And I'm going to look for one more. Okay, so I'm looking for things that are above 10 minutes long here. Day 4. Okay. I did the series called 2020 Make Some Money if you want to go watch it. I guess people liked it. All right. Oh, your LinkedIn makeover. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at what my 5 most, so my most watched videos are on the top here. And I'm going to zoom out one more time so we can see all 5. There we go. Okay. Come on. Oh my God. There we go. Okay. So here are my top 5. But my longest watched, if I would go through them all, I've got LinkedIn. I have website copywriting. I have requests for proposals, and I have keyword research. So 2 of these, copywriting, keyword research, go with the website content. RFPs is more general business stuff, and LinkedIn would be social media. So looking at the watch time, I would say that people seem most interested in website stuff, website information, because they watch it the longest. And let's look at the view count here of these topics. How to find blogs to read. I'm not sure how would you classify that? Maybe I would do that as a general business, because you're trying to stay on top of like what's in your industry. So that first one is general business. TikTok obviously is a social media website. Alternatives, Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a web analytics tool, so I would put that in the website category. Online donations 101, I would also put in the website category. And big beautiful websites, also I would put that's how to reduce file sizes and stuff so your website loads faster. So both my watch time and my amount of views are pointing out to me that I should be posting more content about websites. People seem to like want to watch that if I look at my channel data. Now, obviously, I could go further back to definitely make this, but do you see how I got to that information generally? Okay. Point being is that obviously, if we're not running ads or something, we have to just kind of look not just at the number of things, but also a little bit more of the context. So how long did people watch this? Now, what's nice about this particular video series is that I post it at the exact same day and the exact same time every week. It always goes online Tuesdays at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. So I can take out that control about the posting schedule. That's because that's really regular. So point being is that we have to kind of look through our stuff and understand that it's not just about like the amount of clicks that it gets, but it's a little bit more about, does it get comments? Does it get shares? And I might, if I wanted to take more of your time, look through each of those videos and see what kind of comments and shares and other interactions they've had to understand a little bit more of the nuance. But I hope that that's sort of like, when I taught high school science, I spent a lot of time showing people how to read graphs and how to like interpret their own data so they didn't have to take other people's words for it. And I guess that's what I want you to be able to do too, is I want you to be able to look at your own stuff and take your own word for it. So I see some stuff going on in the chat. So I'm just going to click on that to see what's going on. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to, let's see here.
Yeah, David has a great question about sponsored content on Instagram. He got asked by Instagram.
Mhm.
Does that mean like you've made an agreement with the other tagged account offline and you've like paid them to post something? Is that what they mean?
Yes. So sponsored content, and I actually added a slide about an hour ago because I was like, I think this is an interesting, like nuanced thing to add to it. So what companies want to do is they understand that they can take out a really expensive billboard, or they can do some other forms of advertising that are going to be really expensive and not necessarily reach the people that they want to reach. So what they do is they look for people or accounts that they think are reaching the people that they want to reach. And they're going to look at like, okay, is this person posting stuff regularly or whatever? And so, for example, I might have a company approach me and say, hey, Nicole, like, I see that like you post a lot of stuff about websites and how to use them better. We're a website stats company, and we'd like it if you made some posts about our website stats software. And so what I would do is I would enter into an agreement with them and say, okay, for, I will do, this amount of videos, this amount of posts. I will tag your company in it, and I will charge you $500 per post or whatever. Like we figure out an amount of money and the deliverables that I'm going to give them. Now the company might say, okay, we really want you to mention the fact that we are more secure than Google Analytics and that our plans start at $9.99 a month. Like they might have a couple of things they want me to mention, but they're not going to micromanage what I say about it, because the idea is that my audience trusts me. And so I have to rather than feeling like I'm reading a script, I should talk about the thing the way I want to talk about it. And yeah, maybe I hit a couple of points. Maybe I use a certain hashtag when I post. By the way, if you do sponsored posts, you have to disclose that it's a sponsored post. A lot of people will do hashtag sponsored posts, or they do some other indication that it is a paid piece of content. Because if you don't disclose you're being paid for it, you could get in trouble with the platforms. So that's how sponsored content works. So if you're being approached for sponsored content, you should take that as a huge compliment that like you're doing a good job, but also you should understand that the person who's approaching you probably wants you to set the price because you're the provider. And there's definitely some resources out there that can help you figure out what your pricing should be. But what's really interesting, and I'll get into it in that later slide I was telling you about, is that they don't care how many followers you have, they care about your engagement rate. Your engagement rate is more important than your follower numbers. So I hope that answers the question about sponsored content, because there's definitely people who have spent time building up these really nice social media platforms where people are engaging with stuff. And as a business owner, you might say, well, I can take the time to build my own, which I want to do, but I also want to take this little shortcut and work with this person that seems to be aligned with what I'm trying to do, in the way of, they would call you like an influencer or a content creator. If you posted stuff that was sponsored. Anyway, so that's definitely a way to go too. And it can definitely be a way to make some money. So now, as we saw, like Ellen was super organized with her spreadsheet and my little document was a little sad last week. And you might say, wow, like this is kind of a pain in the butt to pull together. So what companies have noticed is that people think that social media stats could be kind of a pain to pull together. So what they've done is they have these paid tools that will pull everything into a dashboard. So I gave a few examples here, but what I did for this particular presentation is I'm going to pick one and just kind of show you how it works. And by the way, this is not an endorsement. It is an example. I just picked one. I didn't have time to like work up an example in like 25 different ones. So I just did one. And just to understand, like, what do the paid tools do besides saving you a bunch of manual labor, screenshotting things, is they do bring everything into one nice, typically like easy to format dashboard. They can typically hold data for a relatively long period of time. So, you know, for example, the one I'm going to show you has data going back a year for Facebook and everything. They're typically a little bit more graphically pleasing than like the example I showed you last week. And they sometimes have features so that you don't necessarily have to log in and create them every single month, but you can make it so that maybe at the end of the month, like you and your marketing manager and whatever all get a PDF version of the report. You can usually set up something like that. And other tools might be, they might offer to follow your, you know, oh, here are some accounts that are similar to your account, so we can compare your data. So if you use MailChimp, for example, for email marketing, you'll notice that you have an open rate, but then if you've given your industry, right next to it, it'll say, okay, so your open rate is 12%, your industry average is 18%. So it gives you a little bit of context. And some of these tools will do that. They'll say, oh, you're in e-commerce. Here's a typical, you know, e-commerce engagement rank on Instagram or whatever. So sometimes they'll have that. Sometimes they'll have the ability to, sometimes they'll make you some recommendations. It just depends on the tool, kind of what those extra things are. But all the paid tools, I will say, seem to do this thing, pulling it in a dashboard, making it look nice, so that you can kind of see everything at a glance. So I'm going to give you a brief tour of this one that I picked, again, just random. I went ahead and I set up the, so here's my dashboard. So please, I have to show you this. So you know how my logo looks like crap? So I didn't resize it because I was lazy. So I can either put the right size in and have it cut off, or I can force it to be stretched out. I was amused by that. So anyway, if it looks like crap, what I'm saying is it's my fault. That's why. I can make that. I can also pick a background color and stuff. I like the rainbow, so I kept it. So what I did here is I made it's pulling in my Google Analytics, it's pulling in my Facebook, my Instagram, and some other data. So as you see here, I can see how many people, so this is a month-long period, by the way. And I can go back and I can look at any other month, even though I just started this trial a few days ago. they'll give you a 2-week free trial. And if you tweet about it, they'll give you another 2 weeks. So if you wonder why I sent a tweet out yesterday, it was because my trial was about to expire, but this class was coming up. So I tweeted about it. So you can get a month-long free trial for this. This is, by the way, this is $100 a month. So, so I get you, that's a fair bit of money. So I just want to kind of disclose that these tools definitely cost money. So we see here that, you know, here's my website data. Branded searches is how many people search for my brand name on Google. So in the last, and then I see these are my landing pages for the last, you know, this is the last month. I wrote a blog post about where to go watch the sunset. That's not Cadillac Mountain, and the sunrise. That's not Cadillac Mountain, and it generates so much traffic from my website. And then I have the revenue generated last month. This is the business I do not spend any time on, full disclosure. I should though, because as you see, my conversion rate is terrible. It should be between 1% and 2%, but it is below that. So of these 8,900 people, 0.14% of them bought something. And I can see where the revenue is coming from. This is from a referral link. So this is a business that's linking to me. So that's what generated that $113 this month. Whereas I can see the overall traffic is generated by Google searches and directly typing in the website name as the two main things, but the actual thing that's driving purchases is the referral traffic. So, and then I have some conversion goals. So I call this woohoo, it's in the cart. So this is people who put it in the cart. So 10 people this month put it in the cart and purchased $113. That was one purchase. So yeah, anyway, so it pulls in my Facebook data. It pulls in my MailChimp data. It pulls in my Instagram data and my Google My Business data. And what I can do is if I want to pull in some different stuff, so let's say I wanted to add some more Facebook insights. So let's say I want to also track how many people, top posts by engagement rate with image. And what it's doing is it's putting it on the very bottom of my report. And once it's there, I can adjust. It's giving me a full width. Okay, it says no data for this period because again, this is my business I don't really maintain much. So I'm going to drag this into the Facebook area, which is, I think, right here. Oh, that's Instagram. Whoops. But as you see here, I can add different elements. I can resize them. So this will go right there. So this is with the rest of my Facebook. That's MailChimp. Oh, okay. One more section. There we go. So I can name my sections. I can make them a certain, so I can make this less wide. So I can make it a half of a column instead of the full width, or half of the page width instead of the full width. So I can add these different elements and really customize what my report looks like. If I want, so these are the ones I've already integrated, but if I click connect it, another integration to my dashboard, I can add some other stuff. And it integrates with a lot of things really. So like YouTube and stuff like that. So these are the ones I've already integrated. So I'm going to add a new integration. Yes, it's fine to leave. So obviously what you're going to have to do is like, you know, log into these different services. So I can add my I can add LinkedIn, I can add Twitter, I can add YouTube. So one thing that isn't in here, for example, is Pinterest. And so the workaround that they've done for Pinterest is you have your Pinterest data pull into a Google Sheet, and then you have the Google Sheet display data. And Kelsey's face kind of summarizes how I feel about that, which is that's weird. But point being is that I have not found one tool that does everything I want it to do. Like I haven't yet. If you find one that is perfect, can you please email me and tell me what it is? Because I have not found it and I've spent time looking for it. So each of these tools kind of has their limits, but the paid version of the tool basically allows us to make something that's graphically pleasing. And by the way, I did show a month-long kind of time period, but I could have also made it quarterly too. I just had to pick one for the demonstration. So like I said, it's not an endorsement. It's just, you know, a certain tool. And like I said, they all cost some money. This one's $100 a month. Other ones are might be, especially if you're looking at just Instagram tools, that might be less expensive. It might be, $10 or $20 a month for the paid version of that Instagram tool. But it basically kind of takes the manual labor away from you, and it makes it look nice, which, especially working for a larger company, or if you have multiple pages you're managing. Now, like that software I was showing you, I could have unlimited dashboards for that $100 a month. So I could make one for each of my clients, that kind of thing. Or if you have like multiple business things that you manage, like it might be worth spending the money. But I understand if you don't want to and want to do it the old school way that we did it last week. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about some other things that you should know about. So first of all, if you do share links to places that are not your website, I do want you to know that you can track them. And there's kind of two ways you can sort of do that. Well, the first one being like if you have absolutely no ownership of the business, you can do, which is using a tracking tool like Bitly. So you can make a free Bitly account, you can add a link, and when you share that particular link, it'll track how many times it gets clicked. So let's say that you got written about in Harvard Business Review. Now you have no control over Harvard Business Review as a website, but maybe you're curious if you share that update, how many people would actually click on that and go to the article. So what you could do is you can make a Bitly tracking link and you could share that on your social media and you could see how many people clicked on it. So that's one way for you to know kind of, are people interested in this without having direct control of the website. And the other thing, which funnily enough, Kelsey and I were also sort of talking about before this broadcast started, is that let's say that, so right now I am running an experiment for a client that I'm using on my live stream. Now, let's say that I wanted to keep track of the individual, so I'm sending everybody to the Etsy page, right, to the Etsy shop. But let's say I wanted to track, how many people clicked on from Facebook or from Google or from the email campaign or whatever. What you can do is there's something called Google URL Builder. And what you can do is you can basically fill it out and it'll give you a link that has a bunch of tracking information in it. And if you've ever gotten an email campaign and clicked on something and you look in your browser and it says like, website.com/% email equals, July 2021 % equals Facebook, like it'll show a bunch of extra stuff. And the thing is that those tags and that extra stuff are stuff that you can pull in your Google Analytics data, but it doesn't really affect, you don't have to like make this link work. It will work. It just adds some tracking information to the link so that you can pull it in whatever analytics tool that you're using. So I did want to put that out there. That is a possibility, just in case you hadn't heard of it. Probably a lot of people have. So, and then the other kind of things I wanted to mention, one of which I just found out about a few days ago, was this Find Your Audience tool, which is a free Google tool that if you put in the kind of audience you're looking for, it'll tell you things like what YouTube channels they're watching and that kind of thing, which allows you to sort of like maybe, you can strategically leave comments on those YouTube channels or what, I'm just trying to think of other ways you would interact with it. Maybe you want to reach out to those channels, that kind of thing. So there is this Find the Audience tool. It's a free Google tool. And then there's something I really like called Answer the Public. It's a website where if you type in a topic, it will put questions that people are asking about the topic. So if you're the kind of person who's like, okay, I maintain a page about, I event venue and I have no idea what else to write about or talk about. Seeing questions other people are asking about event venues might give you some ideas to, what kind of content that you could be posting. So I do also want to say that, there are some things going forward that you should be keeping in mind that don't really have to do with social media, but are connected to your social media if you're running it for your business. So first of all, if you do sell online, what is the conversion rate for your website? So if you are doing a bang up job, like on, you're on Facebook and Pinterest and you're getting all this traffic to your website and your website is converting like mine, i.e. terribly, all that effort is going to be kind of wasted. So what I should spend my time doing is fixing that conversion problem and then start putting in maybe my efforts toward marketing it. Because like I said, if you're doing a great job, but nobody's converting once you get them there, yeah, that's kind of, and this is when people hire me to market them and I find these problems. They think I'm like trying to pass the buck, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want you to not renew my contract in 6 months when I didn't convert any sales for you. So anyway, it's good to look at that. And I think if you pulled that data from last week, you probably know the answer to that question. So, you know, if you're selling, you know, online or in person, what percentage of those customers are repeats? You know, if people come and buy something from you once and like never come back, that's usually not fantastic. So, granted, if you sell the kind of thing that just holds up really well, I get that might be a moot point. So maybe you just sell this product that lasts for 10 years and, you know, just people just don't have to rebuy it that often. That's okay. But thinking about repeat versus non-repeat customers is a good thing to ask. And then, you know, asking yourself about your average order value. So, you know, I'm just saying this because sometimes these improvements in the website or the general sales process or how the business is run can translate to better social media outcomes. I mean, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, right? Like there's a certain amount that you can do if the website and the business aren't doing that well. And then the other thing, you know, which we sort of touched on a second ago, is this, you know, idea of engagement being really important. So, you know, I've been researching a little bit more about the sort of sponsored posts, the influencer, the content creator type marketing, and how businesses are partnering with these other accounts, these individual accounts, or these, you know, other companies to kind of, you know, market their product. And so influencer engagement rate is considered good when it's 3%. And if it's 10%, it's phenomenal. Like 10% or above, people are like, oh, that's really interesting to me, because follower count doesn't really matter. Like if I have 10 million followers and none of them buy anything, it doesn't matter. So what companies are looking at right now is they're looking at engagement rate, and they're also looking at the percentage of fake followers versus real and otherwise purchased followers versus real followers. And there's lots of software that will tell you how many of your Instagram followers are fake, for example. And so companies are looking at that, because what they don't want you to do is you go and you go on some sketchy website and buy 10,000 Instagram followers, and then you approach them, right? And then they're going to look at it and be like, 96% of their followers are completely fake. Like that's not going to engender, I guess, trust. So I did want to show you. So if you want to calculate your engagement ring, it's the total number of interactions divided by the total amount of followers times 100 for a percentage. So by the way, not to brag, but my engagement rate is 42% on Instagram. So if anybody wants to sponsor me after this, feel free. Just kidding. So basically this idea of having a small dedicated audience that is slowly growing over time is going to give you better outcomes for your business and might open some other opportunities later if you're interested in this kind of thing. And like I said, this is just the last little 30 days. So this is what I want to do with our time together. And then what I want to do after this is I want to answer any questions that people have. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at your stuff, you know, the stuff that you pulled last week in terms of your data. If you didn't finish it, you can also use this time to finish kind of pulling together that data for yourself. If Ellen wants to make a copy of the spreadsheet, if it's a Google spreadsheet, and like drop it in the thing so that you can copy her formatting, I would say it's better looking than the one I came up with. If you are like, I want to throw some money at having a social media dashboard, that's totally fine too. No judgment whether you do or do not want to pay for things. I have no dog in this fight. So, but I want you to think about some 3 goals, and then whether you decided to check data every month or check data once every 3 months, quarterly, however you want to do that. Think about some goals during the next time period based on what's important to you. And what you want to ask yourself is will you know that it's working, and how will you use social media to get there? So I did an example, so don't worry. So these are my 3 goals, because you saw my analytics. By the way, like, if you are sleeping, this is a very quick thing. If you are sleeping on Google My Business, can you not? Because it is a real thing that people are looking at. And I know that Google My Business, it doesn't seem like a social media website, but since you can post updates, and since you can, people can, like, I don't know, interact with you on there in terms of leaving messages, I would consider it maybe a social media website. But I just want to show you, like, this is for a month, okay? So this is a month's worth of data. Give it a second to load. Come on, baby. Come on. I'm plugged in. I don't know why it's taking so long. But the total views are 56,000 people looked at my Google My Business listing. Sorry, 63,000. And this is 1 month, okay? Look, this is July. Let's go to August. Because I was like, oh, maybe that's for the year or something. Oh, I had to refresh. But I guess what I'm saying is there's people looking at your Google My Business data. So even if you're not a physical business, I would, there we go. Kelsey dropped a Google My Business webinar link in the chat. Set it up. It's free. You will start getting a bunch of calls from Google. Okay, so in August, I get 56,000 views on my crappy e-commerce site that I spend no time on. So the fact that you guys have actual real businesses that you do spend time on, I think you're going to get a lot of views on stuff. So people do look at it, and way more than you think. So it's worth setting up even for those spammy calls you're going to get. So looking at my data, I haven't been updating my Facebook and Instagram for this. So what I'm going to commit to do for the next month is schedule 3 updates a week on Facebook, Instagram, and Google My Business, since people are looking at it. And I'm going to use those to drive traffic to my website. And how I will know that's working is that I will get more referral traffic, you know, so like the referral traffic, you know, I can see it in my little dashboard. I pulled up the information, and last month it was 48 clicks from Facebook and 18 from Pinterest, for a total of 64 from social media. So if I'm posting 3 times a week and posting links to my website, it should be higher than that next month. Hopefully, it should be a lot higher than that next month. The second thing I'm going to do is I saw that 10 people put stuff in the cart and 1 person bought something. So that stinks. So I'm going to turn on abandoned cart emails. And those of you, I'm sure you've experienced the abandoned cart email. They convert at 68% apparently, according to one place I looked. So 68% of people get that email and say, oh yeah, right, I meant to buy that thing. Click, buy. So even if half of the people who put something in the cart, even if 50% of them, if 5 of them bought something, and my average order value is $84, that's an extra $500 for me. So that is worth me fixing. And then I want to increase the conversion rate on my website, which is currently 0.14%. Yeah, that will, abandoned cart emails will improve my conversion rate, sorry. And then I want to send an email campaign about the new businesses I've added to the website, because I've added new businesses and I didn't tell anyone about it. I probably want to also do social media posts about the exact same thing. And how I'll know that's working is that my email open rate will be higher. It's currently 14.5%, and I will get website traffic from the email. So I will be able to see that people clicking through from email to my website. Does that make sense? So I've thought through what I want, and then I thought through like how I would work to get it, and then what that would look like. So that way, when I pull this report next month, I can say like, okay, I did this, I didn't do that. Because let's face it, sometimes we don't do everything that we need to do. So I'm going to pop into the chat what the goals are for this thing, which is, it would help if I stopped in presentation mode. But before we go into this thing, is there any questions that I should answer before we get to the kind of Q&A part at the end?
Well, Ellen brought up a good point, which
yeah.
Don't have a solution to, because I struggle with this as well, of like interacting in groups or on other pages as your business versus your personal page. And like I've been having a really hard time sharing other businesses posts to our business page. It's like they're only letting me share it into a group. I've been struggling with this as well, Ellen. So you're in great company.
What I'm wondering is, okay, is it most of the businesses you work with, or just some of them? What I'm wondering is, sometimes when I make a post, I can put a different level on Facebook in particular. I can do a level of privacy on it. And sometimes sharing can be turned off when I don't realize that it's turned off. Is it, I guess what I'm saying is it a constant problem or more intermittent?
I would say it's a constant problem for me, but I don't want to speak for Ellen.
Hold on, I
Ellen,
see.
Are you, should I talk?
Yeah, please
sure.
do. Please, yeah.
So it's consistently problem, like for example, the Chamber of Commerce, and I've spoken to the person that organizes the Chamber of Commerce, being like, she's like, yeah, we want you to be posting as the farm, not you personally. And she said, here, let me fix it. And she was right at my computer. She said, let's unfollow. We went through the whole process, refreshed everything. And she's like, all right, let's now reconnect it. And she's like, all right, it should work. And it didn't. I'm still only, and the person that was doing the social media before me, it was the same thing. Whereas I'm in groups outside the Chamber of Commerce with like gardeners of Kennebunk, and I'm posting on behalf of Wallingford, about plant care, and it's Wallingford, which is what I want, because that allows us to be selling our services of plant knowledge without being super salesy. And if it was coming from me personally, I wouldn't do it. It's not valuable.
So I have a Facebook group set up. And when I was setting it up, it asked me if I wanted individuals to post, individuals and businesses. It was something in the setup of the group that I could distinguish. And the reason that I know that is because this particular group I set up, I called it Where to Buy an MDI. I just wanted to be able to post somewhere that I was trying to buy something. I'm trying to buy a water bottle. Who sells water bottles? And I wanted people to be able to comment, but I didn't want businesses to be like, here's some spammy crap. Like, I wanted people to just be able to say like, oh, so-and-so has this or whatever. So I limited it to individuals only when I set up the account. So what I'm wondering is if we looked in the groups, and I'm just looking, I'm trying to pull it up right now. And while you guys are in your breakout rooms, I might like go look at the group settings and see if I can figure out where that setting is. Because I'm wondering if that's a thing. Because I remember it asking me when I was setting up that group. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
And I wonder if it's a setting that you can change, or is it, only when you start
yeah.
it?
I'm not sure. I'm going to go look at this group. It's been a while since I've.
But it's also the problem, the biggest problem I'm having it with is the Chamber of Commerce. And I mean, it's all about businesses.
Right. But that doesn't mean they necessarily know the intricate, weird stuff about Facebook groups. I'm just saying there's a lot of weird crap back here. As somebody who deals with this every single day. Like Kelsey and I spent like 5 minutes looking for a piece of information on Facebook that is normally pretty easy for us to access. So anyway, so I think I'm gonna pop this in the chat here. So these are the questions. I'm gonna put you in your own breakout rooms for about 10 minutes. And if you have if you want any help or something like that, just feel free to flag me down. You can kind of request help when you're in the room. And otherwise, I'm going to go kind of look around at this group setting thing, and I'm going to see what Facebook sharing settings that might need to be changed to make things a little bit easier. So does anybody have any questions before we head out to think about these things? All right, I'll see you back here in 10 minutes. All right, does anybody feel comfortable or want to talk a little bit about stuff that they're going to work on based on stuff they were looking at? And this is a volunteer thing only, so I'm not going to make anyone do it. I do want to answer Ellen's question because I think I can now. So this is a group that I have set up. And what I did is I went into the group settings, and this is in Facebook. And as you see, one of the options I could give was profiles and pages can join the group or only profiles. So I would ask the Chamber of Commerce to check this setting and make sure that profiles and pages can join their particular group. And I'll screenshot this and throw it in the chat so that if you want to be able to send something easily. Yeah. But I have a feeling that your inability to share things as your business page in a group is how the group is set up. It's not you. It's not you, it's them. Does anybody else have anything up there?
I'll talk about a couple of things.
Awesome, that'd be great.
I had, right before this class started, I had gone out to Google my business just to see what was going on, because I hadn't checked it in a while. And I had almost 2,000 people see my Google thing. 2 people clicked through, and when I was scrolling down, I looked at compared to other similar businesses, I have like 20 photos on there, and other businesses have 80. So the first thing I'm doing tonight after work is going on and adding a bunch of photos to that, because I think it's really going to help. And with the videos, I found a software that I could use. It's called Splice to create the videos. So like this weekend, I was in my studio making something, and I just did a bunch of video of the process, but I wanted to cut it down. And this thing let me cut it down and add text to it. It was super easy. It costs, but it's not that much. But the thing I did at the end was I just put my logo on, and it occurred to me, I need to have my website address under my logo on that closing page, so people know where to go. Because nobody's going to just look at my stuff and then go to my profile and find my website there and click through. And the third is I got to figure out why people get to my shop and they don't go any further. They just look at the front page and move on, because I think my front page looks pretty good.
Okay, so you're seeing a lot of drop-offs.
Yeah, people stay on my site for like 30 seconds.
All right, let's keep them there. Even if you can increase that a little bit, that's great. Awesome, thanks for sharing, Michelle. I appreciate that. Does anybody else have anything that they're going to be sort of generally working on?
I can share one additional thing I'm going to try to suss out a little bit better over the course of the next month. You had mentioned, Nicole, that a target goal, let's call it, of 3% as an engagement rate is considered to be very good. So I'm going to try to suss out which types of posts are giving me better engagement rates. So say video versus photos versus posting a link to something, and see if I can, I mean, unfortunately, only doing each of those once isn't probably a great experiment, but at least it's a place to start.
Absolutely. No, I think that's great. And that's the thing, is we all could be, you can always do more, right? But at least if you're thinking about it a little bit and trying stuff out, you're at least going to get closer. So I think that's a great idea. And, you know, we know kind of from the algorithm of Instagram in particular is preferring videos right now, but that doesn't, just because the algorithm prefers it doesn't mean that people who are looking at your stuff do. So that's why I guess if there was one general rule that worked for everybody, I would tell you guys all what that is and make the SBDC kind of pay me $1 million and then I go live on each somewhere. But alas, we all have to try stuff out to see what works for us. So way to be open to that. Great. So
I have some, we have some time.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so something that I've struggled with and trying to understand, because going into Instagram and Facebook, stories are, I know it's a big thing that people do. You know, as I'm trying to build the content, I'm like, okay, I want my camera vertical, but then if I'm just posting a video, I want it horizontal. And I'm like, oh, you have to do it in 15-second excerpts. Trying to get people on the farm on board with talking and acting in certain ways is a challenge. So I guess just you know, do you have any tidbits on how to build that content? Either doing it live and then, you know, just winging it, or because then the app holds the 15 seconds for you to that minimum or the maximum rather, or do you do it just in your camera phone and then post it and it allows you to edit it? Like best practices is
Sure. Yeah, best practices with limited time, because like you don't have time to do everything. So this is going to sound really stupid, but if you want stuff to work in different aspect ratios, what I find is that if I film in the vertical, I can usually crop it into a square. Okay. I can usually like kind of get rid of the top, you know, I try not to put stuff way on the top, like sort of text wise, or way on the bottom. I try to kind of keep stuff so that I can kind of cut out the top and the bottom. Get 2 phones and film one vertical and film one horizontal at the same time. It's
oh my
dumb.
God.
I know. 2 tripods, 2 phones. Yeah. Because I guess what I find in editing video is something that works horizontally usually is really hard to make work vertically. Like it just doesn't, you know, I was telling Kelsey, I'm running an experiment right now for this live stream tomorrow where I basically took this 15-second video and I posted across 4 different ad platforms to see how it performed. And I had to make the rectangle one for YouTube, and I had to make the long one for, you know, Reel. You know what I mean? Like I had to do it the 3 ways. And because of how fast I had to turn around, I had to use stock video and stuff and like a couple of product photos. And the amount of time, I mean, I spent like 3 hours making those 3 videos work in those 3 formats. So what I say is if you're filming stuff, you might as well just film it in 2 aspect ratios at the same time. And that way you have the option, right? If you decide not to use it, well, you have it. And you can just like, I buy all my electronics used on eBay. Like I think I bought this phone for like $150. It's a Samsung Galaxy 9, whatever. It's a 4-year-old phone, but it works just fine for my purposes. So you could get it. And I actually like having a backup phone because if I ever tank my, you know, tank another phone, I have a backup phone to use if I have to send it into the store to get it fixed. So I recommend having a backup smartphone generally. It does not have to be the latest model. I say just buy one for $150-ish on the internet somewhere. And then you have it. So what I do, just because I have limited time, is I do a live stream. I do a weekly live stream, as I told you guys, and I have it automatically connected to all the different platforms. And so when I go live, it's live on all the places at the same time. And when I'm done, it's saved there. And then what I do afterward is I take the live stream and I clip it, you know, so, you know, I threw Michelle's video editor in there, but there's tons of them out there. There's InShot, I like WeVideo. There's like lots of really good video editors out there. And then I cut those up into very small clips that I can use to promote the main video. Because I try to say something catchy at the beginning, but the first 15 seconds sometimes isn't the most interesting part. So I understand that I'm gonna have to pull it in and I'm gonna have to like snip out the part where I say, and if you do a Google search, you'll see that they're really ugly, you know, and then whatever. And then it's like, click here to see the rest of the video. So I understand that I'm kind of committing to the half an hour to prep the live stream, half an hour to give the live stream and close it up, and about an hour to cut them into little, like 5 short videos that I can use for promotions and put it on my blog, which automatically goes to my email list. So I'm spending 2.5, 3 hours a week, and I'm reaching my 600-person email list. All the people that follow, well, not all the people, but whatever, organic engagement. Some of the people that follow me on Facebook, Instagram, all the other places do. So I feel like I'm spending 3 hours of my time to reach roughly 1,000 people a week. And also the video, because it's longer and it's on YouTube. I mean, you saw my YouTube channel, that video I recorded in 2014, my sad little 3rd floor office that did not have air conditioning. That one's still getting hundreds of views a year, even though it was recorded in 2014. So the long tail of video can be years and not, you know, I think the average Facebook post, the average, whatever lifespan of it is 15 to 30 minutes. but video can be a lot longer. So, so I understand that I'm sort of investing the time now, but it's promoting the video. And just because people don't see it the week that it goes live doesn't mean people aren't going to see it. So that's how I do it, because I'm not a huge video editor person, but that's the content engine that seems to work for me. If you're like, oh, I like short videos, just do a few shorter videos, and probably cross post them. Like, I can't remember if it's Ellen or Michelle that's with the TikTok that's doing a TikTok recording, downloading the TikTok video, posting it to Instagram Reels, and posting it. Also, YouTube has YouTube Shorts that you probably have noticed in the YouTube app. There's a shorts section that's just short videos under 60 seconds. So if you only want to make shorter videos, there's plenty of places for you to put them as well. But yeah, I get it. I'm the only person in my company who wants to be on video. People always think it's just me, but there's like 5 of us. So I'm just the only one who like wants to be on camera. The other people are just like, yeah, I don't really want to be on camera. That's fine. I get it. I'm a professional extrovert, but not everyone else is. So I got to respect that. But yeah, I get that multiple phones is maybe not the answer you were expecting, but and you know, tripods are pretty cheap. So just, and I also like to, I have 2 iPhone 5s, which are like ancient, but I have one in each co-working space. And I've told people that if they're in and like want to take a picture and post it, it's connected to our Instagram and everything. So you can even empower like your employees if you felt like, you know, they were trustworthy people. Hopefully you think they are if you're paying them money. You know, you could have some kind of really basic cell phone that was like connected to your Facebook page, connected to your Instagram. And you could just leave it there. And like I said, if someone walks off with my iPhone 5, A, I can turn it off. And B, it's all of like $60 or something. You know, it's like, I guess it hasn't been a problem yet. So. Okay, so yes. So Instagram recently changed I guess it sounds like their reels from 15 to 30 seconds. But go to the App Store and update the Instagram app. It's only allowing 15 seconds. Okay, so Instagram got rid of swipe ups today. They apparently increased the video length to 30 seconds instead of 15. Honestly, I find it hard to be compelling with 15 seconds without some kind of sound or prompt. There's a trend going around TikTok. I understood the assignment, where like people talk about this, you know, put thing, and then you sit. I understood the assignment, you know, like I did the thing, you know. So that's easy to do in 15 seconds. But I find just as somebody saying something interesting for 15 seconds, it's hard. I get it. I can't do any of the dances either. So, but you don't have to. You don't have to. So yeah, the different aspect ratios is annoying, but it is worth making them, especially if you're doing ad placements, because they do better. So. But what you might want to check, I don't mean to keep using, but one more thing. If you check your stats on your mobile versus your desktop users, I guess if you're just doing Instagram, obviously it's going to be mostly mobile, but some of these other platforms, like Facebook, for example, I would see if most of the people are mobile, optimize your content for mobile viewing. And yeah, if someone's on a desktop and it looks slightly stupid for them, but 80% of your people are on mobile, like I say serve those people. Does anybody else have any more questions? All right. Oh yeah, Ellen, shoot.
Oh, Ellen, you're muted for a second.
Oh.
She's muted again. But Ellen, if you want to take over, feel free to. Questions quickly. All right, Ellen, I clicked. Oh, there we go. Yay.
Yeah. Okay. So I had used Hootsuite and Sprout Social a couple months ago. I did their trials and I found them to be really limiting as far as posting. And I'm wondering if I was not using it correctly, even though I did speak to a representative. I'm wondering if, from what you had said earlier, if I should be using them for their results, holding the results, instead of thinking that's what's going to be what I use for my format for posting.
Okay, yeah, that's an excellent clarification, Ellen. I'm glad you brought it up. So a lot of the social media software, it wants to be your one-stop shop, right? Like it wants to be your everything, your knight in shining armor. So it does, some of these things just do reporting, and some of them will let you do your social media scheduling. Some of them will let you do reputation management within them. So like you can maybe like respond to messages and stuff like that within their platform. Maybe you can schedule updates to go out, you know, from certain content categories into certain places. There's a dashboard of information. So some of these that are on the list for sure are definitely more full featured. Yes, you can post content with this as well. And because they say, yes, we can post content as well, they might actually do that part of things a little bit better than they do the reporting. So, I mean, I've used some of these before. Hold on, actually, let me just I've used some of these before, but like I said, a lot of them, like you said, Suite in particular is the one I've had experience with, mainly with posting content, not necessarily with the robust reporting features, but a lot of them do offer more than that. The dash list that I showed you is just a reporting tool. It doesn't do anything else. And so honestly, it probably does that pretty well compared to the other tools. I was gonna do a giant spreadsheet where I compare all their features, and then I realized it would take me like 20 hours to pull it together, so then I did. But it is important to know that some of these do have some extra bells and whistles, and typically to get the deep reporting data, you sometimes have to go not just to the base level package, but maybe to a slightly higher level package in their base level, if that makes sense. So, but that's good to know. I mean, that's the thing, is like a lot of these will offer you a couple of weeks of free trial. So if you're between a couple, and yeah, make them work for it. Schedule a consult with one of their sales reps and stuff like that. You're paying for this product. You deserve to understand it completely. So
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because I was finding that even though I had access to Hootsuite and Sprout Social, and now I go on and off using Facebook Suite, Business Suite, I find I just end up defaulting to the actual platform, the individual platform, or if I get really lazy, I go to Instagram and just attach Facebook.
Yeah, that's fine.
So but the thing is I can't schedule it. And I do like that the freedom of the Sprout Social and Facebook Business Suite of being able to schedule it, but I can't do any hashtags and I can't do any hyperlinks. And I can't share on the other Facebook groups. So I just kept finding myself saying, well, I'm just not even going to do that.
Right. So with the sharing on this other social media groups, like I said, I would have them check their settings and make sure that pages are allowed to post. But if you're looking for scheduling software, that's another kind of software you're typically going to pay for. The one I like that's pretty inexpensive is later.com. I forgot to make it a hyperlink. I just threw it in the chat, but you can connect one account and schedule up to 30 updates a month with the free version of later.com. So if you wanted to scam later, don't come after me. I'm a paid customer, so don't. But you can make different email addresses, and you can use one email address for your Facebook page and one email address for your Instagram account. But at a certain point, there's hassle versus money. So like you can make that call when it makes sense. But the later paid version. And Kelsey, is this what you guys use? Do you use later?
So yeah, we don't currently have the paid version, which I do miss. And so my alternative to Ellen's issue is basically I I love scheduling things ahead of time. Brings me a lot of joy to cross things off my list and to see things already, doing what I expected them to do days later. And I recognize that there are some limitations. So like, I can't remember who said it earlier, but Facebook wants you to use Facebook. So if you schedule something through later to go to Facebook, it will not do as well as if you post it directly live on Facebook. So I schedule certain things and I post certain things live. And so I'll make sure that I have like, maybe every other day something scheduled to go off out into the world. So like when all of our success stories or like our events, a lot of those I like pre-make those graphics and then I can schedule them to go out like the week before the event or whatever it is. And I don't have to worry about that. But when I want someone in the event to interact with that, I'll make sure that I go in the day before and purposefully do everything on Facebook so that engagement is higher on those posts. And again, it's like a balance of like convenience versus effort. And I have found that is the compromise that I am willing to do because I prefer to schedule it all out, but I have seen that the engagement is not the same.
Yeah, and I guess my workaround for that is I just repeat stuff.
Yeah. And that's how I schedule stuff. I just repeat the scheduled stuff anyway. So
yeah. But it's definitely like Kelsey, it's a delicate balance. And how are these websites make money is through advertising, and how they make money through advertising is if you're logged in and looking at stuff. So they obviously want you to do that. I understand, y'all understand that we have other things to do running a business than this. So like Kelsey said, it's definitely a balancing act and something you could try out. You could say, all right, I'm going to post these updates manually to Facebook and I'm going to schedule the exact same thing at the exact same time to post to Facebook. And I'm going to see what so you can do like 3 updates like that. So schedule them for the same day and time that you're going to manually post it, and see how well they do. And if it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I got a third as much reach, but I don't mind scheduling it 3 times to make up for it. I don't know, but yeah, it all depends kind of what your stuff looks like and what other things you need to do to run your business. Because let's face it, we've all got stuff to do. So yeah, so I guess if I were to summarize this presentation in 2 sentences, it would be: it's important to look at your stuff and make adjustments, but it's also like understand that you don't have to look at it constantly or change your whole behavior online through social media. It's best to do things as well as you can and just understand that you're going to iterate toward better and better stuff over time. So. All right. Well, that's all I got. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Kelsey will send a recording so you can rewatch this, because I know you're going to rewatch it so many times. It's such an amazing,
just riveting stuff here. So I'll definitely, that follow-up email will definitely come out tomorrow versus today. So it might be Wednesday, but it won't be today. So sorry. But otherwise, the link to the recording and the slides, so any resources that we covered will all those links will be there. Thank you so much, Nicole, as always. I know it's probably not totally appropriate, but I learned so much in these webinars that I am like transplanting into the SBDC's social media. So I think definitely continuing to support each other by liking each other's posts is going to be huge. We're all kind of feeling the same pain points. And so one of the things that I try to do is that extra engagement, like right before I'm about to post and then right after I post. I go in and I like as many things as possible and I leave a couple comments, and then that engagement helps other people see our posts as well. So send me your posts and I'll like them.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Me and Nicole, like you
Yeah,
post stuff all the time. This morning I opened it up and I saw your bag of potatoes and I chuckled. It's like, I like your personality. I get your social posts now. I love it. I'm all for it. Yeah, there's Ellen's. Yeah, definitely drop any handles or profiles in the chat, and we can all follow each other along and help with the. So I also, one of the things that I do when I have friends in particular who are small business owners and like I can't afford to buy their stuff, I like everything that they post. I make sure I open it. I click as many links as possible. I give them that engagement because it's the only thing that I can contribute in that case. But if you're doing that as a small business owner, it will actually help you get more engagement as well. So it's a pay it forward type currency at that point.
Yep.
But
Wonderful.
Yeah, otherwise I think we're all set for today. Thank you all for joining.
All right, have a good one, everyone.